But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, pal, I'm the man.
Woo! What up, beautiful peeps? And welcome to the Rayma Rant. All right. So as you probably know by now, today's Rayma Rant is about some good old-fashioned wrestling. You know, the champ is here, he never left, and he never will. I know the belt's a little different, this one's a little personalized, but that's just how it is when you're the champ. Your names go on the belt. But like I said, today's rant is about wrestling, and why not? The last one was, and those were our predictions for WrestleMania, but you know what? The show is over, the results are in, and I figured, hey, why not do a little review on what happened over the past weekend? So as you probably saw at the beginning of this rant, we had the icon, the legend, say it himself as he always does, styling and profiling. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And let me tell you, at WrestleMania, that happened a lot. And that's a good thing, because that means there's change. And that's what we like going into the new season of wrestling, if there is a season for wrestling. But before I even get to WrestleMania, let me talk about the A show of WWE. And it is NXT, and they held their NXT TakeOver New York the Friday of WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania was on the Sunday, Hall of Fame was on Saturday. They switched it up a little. But let me tell you, when I say NXT is the A show, it did not disappoint. TakeOver was really a takeover of WWE. I gotta go from the first match. We had the War Raiders, who are the NXT Tag Champs, going up against the winners of the Dusty Road Classic, Ricochet and Aleister Black. And what a precedent this match set. I gotta be honest, it's possibly in the top 5 matches I have ever seen in my life when it comes to wrestling. This match had everything. Had the high impact power moves, had the agility from who you would expect to have agility and who you wouldn't expect to have agility, which made the match even better. It was extremely technical, and it was a crazy match, like ridiculous spots with tons of back and forth, close calls. But in the end, it was the War Raiders that came out on top. And I gotta be honest with you, I was going for Black and Ricochet because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Ricochet, and I am becoming one of Aleister Black. But let me tell you something. The War Raiders, who I did not know a lot about, are a ridiculous tag team. Let me tell you, these guys are crazy. They're gonna do big things in WWE in the future. And to be honest, I get it. Look, it was Aleister Black and Ricochet Swan Song. They are moving to the main roster, so it only made sense, right? That the War Raiders win and retain. And there was a show of respect, which was beautiful. I'm telling you, if you don't watch any wrestling other than this match, do it. What I'm gonna talk about next, the Velveteen Dream, who's the North American champion, taking on Matt Riddle. And it is exactly what I expected. Look, we get it. Matt Riddle is the better wrestler. Going into this match, he's undefeated. Technically sound, has all these hard-hitting strikes. I mean, why wouldn't he win, right? Well, I'll tell you why, because he's going up against the Velveteen Dream. And I know he's not as skilled and as technical as Matt Riddle, but overall, his star power is undeniable. And the match went the way I thought it would. They had to make Riddle look strong. And Riddle whooped the Velveteen Dream throughout the whole match. I mean, Dream got his few spots, but in the end, Riddle got the bro mission on him, and Velveteen Dream, being the star he is, reversed it into a roll-up 1, 2, 3. The Dream retains his title, but this still makes Riddle look strong, you know? It is his first defeat, but another reason for him to get a rematch. Then we had the women's match, which had Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane all taking on Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, for that belt itself. This wasn't the best match, but at the same time, I thought maybe Io Shirai might win the title, but I do understand. The only reason I thought that was going to happen was because I thought Shayna Baszler might go to the main roster, but I don't think that's happening. And, you know, it was a good match with a lot of spots for all the competitors. In the end, Shayna Baszler won, and to be honest, I'm not surprised. So next I'm going to move on to the NXT UK Championship. And you had the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne, 685 days holding that belt, going up against the foreign indie phenom, Walter. Now, I don't know much about Walter, but I do know he's a big dude that hits hard. And you know what? Dunne gave him all he could, but in the end, we had a new NXT UK champion crown, and that was Walter. You know, I was hoping for the Bruiserweight to win. I'm a fan of Pete Dunne. I think he's fantastic, but I think he dropped the title because I think it's time for him to move on. I mean, he might have a rematch against Walter. We'll see, but in my opinion, I think it's time for him to move on. So lastly, I gotta talk about the main event. 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Championship. Titles vacated because Tommaso Ciampa went out. So we got Gargano going up against Adam Cole, baby. Boom. And you know, I've said it before, I definitely do feel that this year will be undisputed, and I do feel every single person in that faction will be holding a title eventually. However, Johnny Gargano is my boy. And you know, it kind of went down the way I thought it was. First fall, you know, Cole got his finisher, the last shot, and you know, 1, 2, 3, counted them. Next fall, a lot more technical. You could see they're getting tired. But Gargano got in the Gargano lock and locked it in, and Cole tapped out quickly, which made sense. Great for a heel. Look, you tap out quick because you still know there's one more fall. It's best 2 out of 3. Each got 1-1. So be good for the next fall. So the final fall, here's what it comes down to. And you know, it went back and forth. The referee got knocked out. There was interference from the rest of the Undisputed Era. They did their best to screw over Gargano. And they screwed him over, but he kicked out. They threw the ref back in, and they kicked out. They all teamed up on him. He's kicked out. And Adam Cole super kicked him, and then he gave him the last shot, but Gargano kicked out. So then, you know, Cole was going for his finisher again this time. Gargano countered, put on the Gargano lock. In epic fashion. Sinks in that lock, and Cole had no choice but to tap out. And new NXT champion, Johnny Gargano. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Takeover, and now Johnny Champion. Great card. I can't wait to see where NXT goes next. So let's get to WrestleMania. And you know, WrestleMania started off with the kickoff, and let me tell you, it was literally, I think, 8.5 hours in total, if you include the kickoff show. So on the kickoff show, they had the Cruiserweight match up first, which was Buddy Murphy, the champion, defending against Tony Nese. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't really pay too much attention to this match as I'm not that interested. I don't mean to offend anyone out there. But let's be honest. These guys are 205. Come on. Look at Murphy. Look at Nice. They're at least 230, 240. You know, but I am happy. A new champion was crowned. Tony Nese did win, and well deserving. He's a great athlete. So we had the women's battle royal, and my prediction was Asuka was going to win. You know, I thought this would be a consolation prize for her since she lost the women's championship to Charlotte. However, to everyone's surprise, at least to me, Carmella won. And I mean, she cut a promo on Raw after saying, you know, or on SmackDown, sorry, saying that big things were going to happen for 2019. Next, we had the men's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And no surprise here. All the players that didn't make it onto the main show were on this. And it was comic relief. You know, the two correspondents from Saturday Night Live didn't win. They lasted until the end because they hit under the ring. And who happened to be the last one in there? Braun Strowman. And that's where the beef was. So, I mean, he tossed the both of them out like it was nothing. And he ended up winning. Let's get to the main show. And it starts with Alexa Bliss coming out and having a nice little Wrestlemania moment with the Hulkster himself, Hulk Hogan. They come out, you know, he does his little promo. They do the pose down. It's great. Nice family-oriented way to kick off the show. But who comes through as they're doing their pose down? Out of nowhere, Paul Heyman walks right through them, straight down to the ring, and a very surprising and shocking move. He says, look, if him and Lesnar ain't in the main event, they ain't waiting around. They taking care of business right now at the beginning of the show, so they can hop on a jet and fly to Las Vegas because they have more important matters to deal with. I think we all know that refers to the UFC, obviously. So this match was not disappointing. It wasn't long, but it wasn't disappointing. You know, you don't expect Brock Lesnar to be in the opening match, you know. You usually expect him to be later on in the card. So it was refreshing to see this one get out of the way. And a great match. I mean, even before the bell rung, Lesnar's down there, Rollins comes through, and Lesnar just whoops Rollins, whoops him before the bell even rings. And then when Rollins is tossed back into the ring and can finally get up, the referee calls for the bell. And again, Rollins took a little bit of beating, but he made his comeback. And I guess the big changing point of the match is when he pushed Lesnar into the referee. The referee gets knocked out of the ring. Rollins low blows Lesnar and then delivers 3 consecutive curb stomps. Pins him 1, 2, 3, new Universal Champion. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, WWE. Thank you, Vince. Finally, Lesnar is not holding that Universal title hostage. Alright, so the next match on the card was AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. And as I said in my predictions, this should have been a way more important match on the card. But because there wasn't any real build for the match, it didn't seem that hype. Like, it didn't seem people were that excited for it. And it's understandable. WWE did a poor job of building this match. Let me tell you, the match was great. It was a good match. Just weren't excited about it. It wasn't for any championships, or there wasn't any real build. And in the end, it saw AJ Styles beat Orton. Which is what I wanted. Alright, so next up on the card, we had Shane McMahon being the heel, taking on The Miz, who is the face in this. No thanks, but it is what it is. And this match, I mean, it wasn't too bad. you know, you had the Miz's dad come in and sort of try to defend himself. And of course, Shane doing the heel thing, beat up his dad. And the Miz came back, and they fought all over the ring, hitting each other with whatever they could, beating each other up. And the finish came when, of course, they climbed high up, somewhere they shouldn't have been. And the Miz suplexed them from there. And it must have been like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet. And they landed, both of them not moving. It just happened that Shane landed on top of the Miz. And Shane won, which is what I predicted, because in order to carry this feud over, I feel Shane had to win. Alright, so I'm very happy to say the Usos were on the main card, and they defended their tag championships against The Bar, Nakamura and Rusev, and the new upstarts, Aleister Black and Ricochet. And it was a good match, very entertaining, a lot of high spots, great tag match. But in the end, it was my boys, the Usos, retaining their title. And it made sense. I mean, in that match, they were the best tag team, hands down. All right, so next up, we have the women's tag team titles being defended in a four-way. And you have the champions, Boss and Hug Connection, taking on the Glamazon, returning Glamazon, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, against Tamina and Nia Jax, against the Iconics. And I'll be honest, I didn't really pay too much attention to this match. But from what I saw, it was entertaining. And the finish was a surprise. It was a shock. But it is something I did say in my predictions that was possible to happen if WWE wanted to change, and that's exactly what happened. The Iconics won the belt. They won the belts. And in perfect heel fashion, we have possibly the hottest thing going into WrestleMania. Kofi Kingston, Kofi Mania, baby! Taking on the WWE Champion, the new Daniel Bryan. And this was a good match. To be honest, it probably was the best match of the whole pay-per-view. Only reason being was there wasn't really any cheap shots or anything like that. It was a straight-up match with minimal interference. And it was a great match, great wrestling match between two great performers. And what can I say? If you didn't know by now, you've been sleeping under a rock. After 11 long years, Kofi Kingston has won his first WWE Championship. And I couldn't be more happy. A real Cinderella story. All right, next up, we had Samoa Joe, the United States Champion, taking on Rey Mysterio Jr. It was a surprise and it wasn't. We understand the show was super duper long. And my prediction was Samoa Joe was going to retain the title over Rey Mysterio. It didn't weaken Mysterio if he lost. And I mean, it only helps increase Joe's persona to win. But in this fashion, he beat Mysterio in 55 seconds. Rey Mysterio! Samoa Joe beat in 55 seconds. That's crazy. All right. So next up, we had a grudge match. And this grudge match was returning Roman Reigns taking on Drew McIntyre. And I mean, a lot of back and forth. We know the whole story, you know. Drew coming in and pretty much taking out the Shield. He even beat Seth Rollins as well. And you know, in my opinion, in my predictions, I thought that Drew McIntyre should win because I feel they need to put him in that heel role as being a world champion on either brand. You know, for Roman Reigns, it wasn't really going to hurt him if he lost, but I do understand the whole story of him battling leukemia and coming out of it and returning earlier than everyone had expected. So in the end, Roman Reigns did win, and I mean, it went along with the whole story and all the fans. Ugh. Now I'm going to talk about what I consider the disappointment of the whole night. And that is, in his final match, Kurt Angle took on Baron Corbin. And the whole night we were hoping and praying this was just a joke and WWE was going to change it. But they didn't. Angle took on Corbin, and unfortunately, Corbin won. Like, I get Angle's going out and he's putting over individuals. Corbin, like I said, man, you know, I don't believe in Corbin. I think he's always you. We had the Demon King, Finn Balor, taking on the Intercontinental Champion, Bobby Lashley, obviously for the title. I mean, Bobby Lashley came out first, which is weird. I mean, champion comes out first. But anyways, you know, it was all for the Demon King to come out. And what a grand entrance it was. It was spectacular seeing him come out. And to be honest, the match was decent. But like I said, we've seen this match a lot of times. And the Demon King's undefeated. So if you were surprised that the Demon King won, you definitely do not know anything about WWE. And like I said, Demon King won. There was no surprise here. We all knew it was going to happen. It is what it is, right? Happy Balor got his WrestleMania win. Alright, so we finally made it to the main event of WrestleMania. It was winner take all because both the Raw and SmackDown women's titles were on the line. Charlotte, the SmackDown champion, Ronda Rousey, the Raw women's champion, and then Becky Lynch, the winner of the 2019 Women's World Cup. All in this match. And it was a good match. It was hard hitting. I'm not going to say it was the greatest match. I definitely don't think, for it being a closing match, it was the best one to close with. But I do understand why they closed with it. And I am happy. You know, this match went back and forth, everyone getting a move on one another. But the end was just, it ended. Literally, it was Rousey giving Becky Lynch a suplex, and when she landed on it and Rousey went to pin her, Becky sort of just rolled her over and quote unquote pinned her shoulders, but as we all saw, Rousey's shoulders were not on the mat. Now, I think that's for when Rousey comes back. She has a clear claim to challenge Becky Lynch for those titles because in reality, the ref pretty much made the mistake. And that's the whole thing. Everyone was shocked. Like when it ended, they're like, what? The match ended? And you know, it's great. Becky Lynch won. She should have. Let's be honest, she's one of WWE's hottest tickets. And that ended WrestleMania, everybody. And to be honest, this show was better than I had anticipated it would be. You know, over the past few years, WWE has let down the fans in a big way. And I feel this year, they pretty much listened to the fans. And everything, almost everything I predicted would happen, happened. That's right. We made it to the end of this Rayma Rant. And as always, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me till the end of this whole thing. I know this. I know. But as I always say, wrestling, I love it. I could talk forever. So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, these are just my views and opinions on wrestling. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't, or maybe you have something to add. Who knows? I don't know. And how am I going to know unless you let me know? How do you do that? First, you can start by liking, commenting, or sharing on this video. Or you can hit us up at these places. ratednstudios@gmail.com, Facebook fan page @RatedNStudiosInc, our Instagram @RRayma1 or @RatedNStudios, And what we always pray for, please, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/RatedNStudios. Well, y'all, as you'll see, the champ was here, he's still here, and will always be here. Like Ric Flair said, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And brother, I'm the man. So I'll see y'all next time on the Rayma Rant, holding my special belt with the Hitman signature. You know it, real wrestling fan here. See you on the next one. Peace!